Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our Oracle Apex community, depending where you are. My name is Salim Hilayel, and I would like to welcome you all to a new session in our Business Innovations webcast series. In today's session, I would like to welcome Giovanni Cani from Trailcon, who will show us how they used Oracle Apex low-code platform and AI to modernize and implement several automated business processes, including an invoice processing module utilizing OCI's document understanding and Microsoft 365 integration. I would like also to remind you, if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A section, and we will try our best to address them during the session. Now, I would love to hand it over to Ashish Mohindru, the Vice President, Product Management for Oracle Apex, to start the event. Over to you, Ashish.
Thanks so much, Salim, and welcome everybody to all of our attendees today. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are. I am Ashish Mohindru. I'm the GM and Vice President of Products for our Oracle's low-code application platform called Oracle Apex. And I'm really excited to actually do this webcast today with Giovanni, because today, in today's webcast, Giovanni is also going to talk about how he's merging low-code with AI to build really innovative applications that are delivering great results for their businesses. But before I hand it over to Giovanni, I want to give you a quick update on Apex in terms of, if you're new to Apex, what we do, and also where we are and where we're headed in the coming months. So Apex is the world's most popular enterprise low-code application platform. It enables you to build scalable and secure enterprise apps with world-class features 20x faster with 100x less code. Apex delivers the most productive way to develop and deploy mobile and web apps everywhere, whether it's on the cloud or on premises. From a architecture perspective, Apex consists of the core app definition, runtime, and local data store. It's a complete model-driven environment where we do not generate a single line of code in the back end. So you don't have to compile anything, redeploy, replatform, every time you make, or anytime you make a change or you upgrade your core application. On top of the core app definition and runtime, we have a mid-tier called Oracle REST Data Services, which is basically a REST API layer. You can connect to Apex or call into REST services using that mid-tier. And in the back end, not all your data needs to be stored within the Oracle database. So the typical myth is everything, Oracle only works on Oracle. The reality is you can have your data in any third-party system, whether it's Oracle or non-Oracle, and you can easily connect to it to run your application. On the front end, we have a web tier, whether it's you can build web application, you can also build mobile application, or even desktop applications. And this platform can be used by any kind of user. So we have a pretty broad spectrum of users, whether they are citizen developers with very little knowledge of application development, to professional developers with advanced knowledge and highly skilled application developers using different languages from Java to Python to JavaScript, to line of business analysts, especially business analysts, building simple spreadsheet replacements or analytical dashboards, to data scientists who are building sophisticated machine learning algorithms or AI-based applications. So this platform is ubiquitous or universal. Any one of these personas can use it using the same sets of tools. And once again, like I mentioned, these applications that you build can be deployed anywhere, whether they're cloud native or on-premise in your own local data centers. Now, Apex, we've seen incredible adoption of this platform over the years. Today, we have 19 million plus apps that have been created with Apex. 2 million of these apps are running live across the globe. And then about 3,000 to 5,000 new applications are getting created on a daily basis on Apex platforms across entire customer ecosystem. Today, we have a pretty broad community of developers, which is really growing fast. We have about 700,000 plus application developers building applications on Apex. And about 75% of Fortune 500 companies today worldwide use Apex for application development. Now, this momentum is only accelerating. And as you can see, the number of apps that were built on Apex over the years, this calendar year, we are anticipating that, based on projections, that we'll have over 21 million apps being created on Apex. I think it's one of the largest low-code application development ecosystem in the world today. Apex, because of all of this, Apex was ranked as the #1 platform of choice when IDC surveyed over 1,000 companies worldwide. As you can see from the results, they asked the question, who's your preferred low-code or no-code application provider? Or who's the vendor that you want to invest in going in the future? Oracle Apex came out far and ahead of any other vendor in this space, including Microsoft Power Apps, Salesforce, ServiceNow, and a number of pure plays like Mendix and OutSystems and so on. Not only do our customers really use Apex, but they also like it when they do use it. This is evident from the Gartner Peer Insight Customer Choice Award for 2022. Apex was rated the highest of any other vendor in this category. This is pure customer usage. The customers that use the product actually rate how well do they like it or dislike it. As you can see, once you use Apex, our customers typically tend to like Apex a lot and are very enthusiastic proponents of this particular platform. Now with Apex, we also are innovating at a very rapid pace. We have 2 major releases every year. So there's a major release in, I would say, spring, summer timeframe, and then the follow-on release in fall, winter timeframe. So our latest release is 23.1. That came out in May of this year in 2023. And we added a number of new features from push notifications to better REST API access and so on, better object browser. And you can see with every subsequent release, we add a whole ton of new functionality to make it easy for our developers to build new innovative applications using low code. And our aim really is that with low code, you should be able to build any kind of sophisticated application that you would use traditional application development tools for high code. So really democratizing the whole application development process and really bringing in all sorts of new builders to unleash innovation for their organizations. Now, one of the big areas where we are innovating with and really enabling our users and customers to build new kinds of applications is merging low code with AI. And with Oracle, we are actually a leader in the space because we are actually taking a very comprehensive approach to how do you ingest AI with low code. The very first of that is really using an AI-based infrastructure to run your low code application platform. So with autonomous infrastructure on Oracle Cloud, we're the first and only vendor that's enabling using machine learning to run an entire cloud infrastructure for your low code applications. So from the very beginning, when you run an autonomous infrastructure, it doesn't require any human labor. It does auto patching, auto backup, auto scaling. Anything you need from a management perspective is really taken care of for you using machine learning and AI. So when you don't have any humans involved, not doing patching or upgrades, there's very little chance of human error that makes your system more secure, more reliable, and much more highly performant. The second aspect of where we're adding machine learning and AI is in what we call AI-assisted development. So in this case, we're giving you access to a lot of new AI services as part of Oracle Cloud that you can ingest within the Oracle Apex platform to build your applications. These services include like AI vision for auto tagging and breaking down images automatically using machine learning, to document understanding. And I think Giovanni is going to talk a lot more about that, of how they're using these services for their use of invoice processing within Trailcon. We have additional services like AI speech, data science services to build out your own models and to train your own systems or using your own data. Digital assistant. And also coming up at Cloud World, we're going to make announcements of a number of these generative AI services using Cohere, view more capabilities of using generative AI within your applications. And the third area where we're using AI is really using Apex as the UX for AI applications. So a lot of our customers want to use Bard or ChatGPT or their own proprietary LLMs, and they want to have an interface that is easy to plug into these AI models. And Apex is really offering that platform to ingest these services and build a truly AI-centric applications with low code. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Apex is available in every single cloud data region with Oracle Cloud. Today, we have over 44 plus global cloud regions on OCI, distributed across the globe, and we're continuously adding new regions in this portfolio. And Apex service is included in every one of these regions, including public sector clouds, to commercial clouds, to dedicated region cloud centers, which are Oracle Cloud running within your own data centers overall. Apex is available ubiquitous and is available everywhere. And today we have, like I mentioned, thousands and thousands of customers that are using Apex. 75% of global Fortune 500 uses Apex for application development. As you can see from this logo slide, the who's who of the industry uses Apex for application development. There's a sample of a leading financial services institution that are using Apex, from MasterCard to JP Morgan to Bank of America to HSBC and so on. To telecommunication companies, leading telcos around the globe that are using Apex for app development, from British Telecom to Indian company called Bharti Airtel, to Vodafone, AT&T, Telstra, and so on. To leading healthcare institutions that are using Apex for application development, AstraZeneca being one of them, Syneos Health, leading biopharma company, Hartford Healthcare, and so on and so forth. And same thing you can see is in the leading, what I would say, global public sector agencies around the world are using Apex for application development, from Ministry of Defense in UK to US Air Force to FDA to Homeland Security. They trust applications being built on Apex with ease, and they really rely on them being extremely secure and performant overall. Now, we're also making it very easy for our customers and users to get on board with Apex and to gain this knowledge. Recently, we introduced 2 new courses for learning, self-paced learning, which is online for anybody who wants to learn about low-code application development with Apex. The first is the foundation course. It's a 3.5 hours of training, which gives you the basic fundamentals of low-code application development. It's a great way to just get started if you don't have much knowledge in the subject. And then there's a professional developer course, which is about 11 hours plus of online training. But at the end of this course, I can guarantee you, you'll be a proficient application developer who will be able to build real applications using Apex. Now, these courses are available on oracle.com and Oracle University. You can just have to go to apex.oracle.com and sign up for it. It's absolutely free. On top of that, it's also available on LinkedIn Learning. So if you prefer a different platform, we're making it this content available to you where you like to kind of go and engage with it. Another thing you can do after you take these courses is also take a certification exam. So you can be a certified Apex developer. You'll be well trained if you take these courses to pass that exam, and then you will have the credentials to go and build any kind of applications or apply for any kind of jobs for low-code application development. Now you can do all of this and get started for free by simply signing up at Oracle Cloud, free tier account. You just need to go in and sign up, and you have access to all sorts of Apex services that you can use to build your applications today. With that, I'd like to invite Giovanni to talk about his use of Apex at Trailcon. Welcome, Giovanni.
Thanks, Ashish. It's a pleasure to be here and present to the community a little bit of our journey with Apex and how we leverage a number of components, including specifically today about AI, to improve our processes. So let me get my screen here set up. So the way I thought I'm going to do this is maybe talk a little bit about Trailcon, what we do, and then we talk a little bit about the journey that we have with Apex, and then we go down into the details of AI, how we leverage that information and those engines in OCI, and at the end a demo of our system actually processing those documents. So again, Trailcon is been in the industry of leasing trailers and for the last 30 years. We have basically about 10,000 assets of our own that we lease, rent, and then we manage another 30,000 of our own customers. So we have field services workers across Canada, where through they do the work, repair the trailers, all the work is captured on tablets, all that information then travels into our back office system. We call it TCL 360. All the system and platform was built with Apex as a core. We also manage temperature control units. They also call reefer and heaters. We maintain our customer fleet, so we have major accounts across the country where we make sure that all their assets are running, all the preventive maintenance are taken care of. If there are any repairs and anything to do with trailer, we do it. I did mention about our mobile service, the techs deployed across the country. We have about 150 of them using what we call TFS. It's a Trailcon Field Services, which is actually an app built of Apex, a PWA app running on a ToughPad Panasonic device. We do have coverage across the country because our customers do travel south of the border. And that's when we do not have technicians of our own, then that's when we need to engage our partners, and that's where we get a huge volume of AP invoices to handle as part of that, rebuild the customer. And that's how we're going to be talking a little bit more about that processing of those documents as part of this session. We have a call center that's a 24/7 call center. Again, we're there for our customers if they need it, no matter where they are. We're there to help them. Just we have a 1-800 number. They call us, and we'll be there to support them. This is a little bit of a screenshot actually from our Apex vendor mapping system. That's just so that you have an idea of all the different distributed vendors and suppliers we have across North America. And those, if we can't handle the work because we don't have our own technicians there is when we deploy these vendors through the call center and for the work to get done. All the data that we have, it's real time. So whether it's our own technician using our field services, as you can see a little bit on this picture, or it's our vendors, we all the data is real time available to them on the field to do the repair, so that we are known by our customers of being able to provide detailed reporting to them in real time. And we can all do that because of the platform that we built within Apex. Trailcon has been using Oracle technologies for the last 30 years, basically since we started. In the beginning, of course, we were using which now is a legacy technology, Oracle Forms and Reports, and this is why after, especially in the last 3-4 years, we start studying something that will give us a little bit more productivity, be able to deliver more in less time, and be able really to support the business in a more broad manner, because the old technology that we had was just not being able to handle the volume and the growth that the business was going through, especially in the last 3-4 years. So with that in mind, I'm gonna now introduce you what we call our in-house built fleet management system, ERP. So this is really what we call, it's a platform. In its core was built with Oracle Apex. We currently run on-prem. We have version 22.2. We typically like to be one major version behind to ensure that our systems are as stable as possible. And we basically, this platform really is able to see the data in a 360 view, being able to provide, to support the different stakeholders that have access to the system. So from the customer side, we have a self-service portal where customers come in, they can see their invoices, their preventive maintenance, any custom reports, all available with the platform, email as well through automations, etc. All that happens on the customer side. The back office, of course, so our entire ERP system, so our rental leasing contracts, our procurement system, asset management, service management, etc. All that is built again with Apex within the platform, so that we have all this, synergy of data. So we don't have different systems to do different things. There are no different integrations. We're able to leverage these Oracle technologies and Oracle objects that we've built in the last 3 decades, and with Apex, we're able to really to leverage them and continue using it. So that's the back office piece of the platform. Then we have the vendors. So vendors do work for us, and often they need to come in to check information on a specific asset and specific vehicle, or even upload their own invoices into our system. So we do have a specific mailbox that we ask vendors to upload invoices to, but sometimes they, depending on the vendor, they may choose to log into their portal, and that's also available through this platform. Then we do have the technicians, PWA, as I mentioned. So they use Oracle Apex PWA app on their TAFPad Panasonic tablets. This is so they can take pictures, read, barcode reading, have up-to-date access to fleet data. Whatever data they have access to is the same one that the call center does have access. No syncing, no delays, all in real time. And that was a big challenge before Apex, when we had to do offline syncing, download a bunch of work orders and service records that would often cause delays and information that was not up to date. So that's why we decided a couple of years ago to go PWA with Apex. And then we have the part of automation that's key for us to be efficient and be able to fulfill our customer requirements. So we have a number of automation processes that we put in place. KPI monitoring is one of them. All the generation of invoicing. So what we do is throughout the day, there's thousands and thousands of invoices that we issue every month. We use in the past to be able to actually have to print those, rescan, and then email. We're able to build code within the Oracle database, leveraging AOP as our preferred vendor for reporting to be able to generate and send those invoices out overnight. These invoices are also available through the customer portal. And then preventive maintenance alerts, as I mentioned, ensuring that a trailer, this 53 foot trailers that are on the highway, they need to have a safety inspection at least once a year, and this is key to us managing about 30 to 40,000 assets. These reports are quite important. These alerts are quite important for us to make sure we keep our assets as safe as possible on the road. And then we have the IoT and the integration piece. So that is a little bit of what we'll be talking today as well. So vehicles, so we have a vendor that provides us all the Latin long coordinates to our assets that we can, through Apex, download them and then ingest into the database, and then with that data be able to correlate into every single asset, understand location, travel, geofencing, detection, etc. And then the AI services, as of 4 months ago, we got into this journey of going to the next level and leveraging document understanding in OCI to be able to process invoices and be able to, review our customers a little bit faster, as well as be more scalable, because currently that was just not possible given the volume of paperwork they had to go through. And then finally, document managing, that's another piece of the platform, as well, tracking contracts, inspection pictures from our trailers, etc. So that is high level what our platform does. Again, this whole platform was built as Apex as a core. A little bit of the numbers that we have. So I did talk about 30,000 managed assets, whether ours or of our own customers. We do have a 24/7 operation, in total around 560 users. So that would include technicians on the field, customers, vendors, and our own users. We have over 5,000 vendors that we keep track of and interact with as part of the repairs that need to be done on the road. We do have 3 apps that as part of our ecosystem, the PWA, the vendor management, the customer portal, as well as the backend office. Those 600 plus Apex pages include all the three apps that we manage. And then we do have about 2 devs. So that's the great thing about Apex. You can do so much with so little. We used to have before, when we had other technologies, more traditional technologies, we had an army of developers, and support was always very high because there were always patches to be implemented because of libraries had to be updated. And with Apex having only one technology, it's so much easier to not only develop but support going forward. So 2 developers, 1 product owner, and we do have a trusted partner. We leverage Insum to help us with R&D, and anytime we have extra work that needs to be done, they are our friends that help us with the work, making sure that we can deliver quickly and efficiently as well. Given some of these requirements that we get from the business. And like I said earlier, we do use Apex 22.2 on-prem. We do have a project where we are moving that to the cloud in the next few months. We feel that going to the cloud is a better way of keeping our systems resilient, more secure, and more scalable, really. So we are currently on a project to move our systems to the cloud. So a little bit of our journey with Apex. I did say that we leverage Oracle technologies, about for the last 30 years. But Apex was really something that we started late 2019, early 2020. With what was going on in the world, there was a lot of need for improving processes, efficiencies, a lot of people working remotely. So back in 2020, we had to sit with the team and decide that really having a LAMP stack was no longer able to handle the volume of work and the requests that we're getting from the business. We started, we use OCI, a free tier, to start playing around with Apex. I initially thought that was something that was too good to be true, to be quite honest. Being able to create reports within minutes, be able to have those reports be customizable as sorting, filtering, exporting to Excel. Our users love exporting to Excel. So all that built in out of the box was something that up to then, I never saw any technology was able to handle the volume of data. And here I'm not talking about 10, 20, 30,000 records. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of records. So with Autonomous Database back in 2020, we're starting to see the value of the technology. And then we did go with a small project, a POC, to migrate some of our key reports into Oracle Apex. Again, Apex is not a reporting tool; it's a full suite with basically anything you need from any traditional language. But we started with reporting just to try to understand. I love interactive reports. If you ask me, what's the component you like the most? Interactive reports is the one to me that adds more value on the reporting side. The support requests reduced drastically since starting leveraging Apex, specifically interactive report, because some users want to see one type of data, other ones want to see a different type of data. Some wants to see different sorting, a grouping, totals, and being able to have all that dynamically done by the user, empowering the user was key, and that's what really users love doing it, because IT was no longer the bottleneck. They could do this change themselves. So 2021, we took a strategic decision to say, hey, you know what? This is really good. It can take the load, um, and we will then move in to call this new platform Trailcon 360, which is basically a way to see the data in different vantage points from the different stakeholders, whether you're a customer, vendor, supplier, technician. You want to analyze a part that's being used on an asset, etc. All that was really the core of the idea that we implemented, and the mandate really were five. We wanted a system that was resilient. We were able to consolidate, so we no longer have all these subsystems all over the place, hard to manage, expensive to support because you need to have all these developers, with the know-how not only of the technology but the business. Be able to modernize, have something that it's not only for the next 2-3 years, but be able to have it for the longest time in the future. Simplify. So simplification, one example is just what I said about the interactive reports. That was all done now on the user side. No longer developers had to be engaged on doing those changes. And really the automation. And Apex really was a perfect fit for all these requirements, and we went full force with it. And the bonus point, of course, is that we were able to leverage all our database schema objects and tables already in place. So the customer table, vendor table, asset tables, of service tables, all the invoicing tables, that all was there, which was quite easy to just build interactive reports and add-on features to be able to run in parallel with the old system. Of course, we were not able to do this all at once. It was a gradual move from the legacy system we had, and Apex was great because some of the functions were still being done on the system, but then new ones and new requirements, new modules we could build in Apex, leveraging the same database, which we have at Oracle 19c. Last year, we went with our biggest module, migrated over, is the billing module. That is the rental leasing and service billing modules into Trailcon 360. This is the one I spoke earlier where we do automation and send out invoices overnight. And then we deployed the field services using PWA. Quite exciting. Users love it. Now we can quickly do updates in the app without having to, bring all these devices in-house or have them access through a remote app like TeamViewer to update the app, which previously was built in C#. Microsoft 365 single sign-on integration. We love it. Trying to make my users' life as easier as possible, and one less password for them to remember is always a great plus. So that integration went really well. And from the security side as well, I no longer need to worry about password length, deactivating users, etc., because all that's now central managed on the AD side. Last year, we also implemented the vehicle tracking RESTful integration. So that is the piece where we track our vehicles through GPS, through a RESTful integration with our vendor. And then this year, we really decided to take to the next step and start using OCI to object storage and AI services. We'll talk a little bit more about this in the next slides. MS Graph integration that goes hand in hand with the AI services, because for you to be able to upload these documents into OCI, you first need to download from this inbox or AP inbox mailbox that we have, and we had to do through Microsoft Graph integration. So metadata reporting, there was always a question about when our automations are running. We have several of them. More than 50 right now, and of course you want to make sure that they don't run too many at the same time. Be able to access the data tables great to have a visual to our infrastructure folks. There's a number of other things you can do with the metadata, but that's the first one we start leveraging and showing all our automations and next time they're running. Global search, again, having we're leveraging this what we call you can basically search anything in the system with this box. We make it easy for users to find data. I will give you a quick demo as part of the AI part. And then the OCI compute and the BCS, so that's the project that we are currently working on to move our environment to the cloud, as well as the PWA push notification. It's coming in the next months. So before I actually talk a little bit about the use case, I just quickly would like to share this quote from Steve Jobs. They talk about you know the way you get programmer productivity is by eliminating lines of code you have to write. The line of code that's the fastest to write, that never breaks, that never needs maintenance, is the line of code that you never need to write. So this is a classic one. That was back in WWDC 1997. He said that, and it's so true now. I mean, I did say how much less support requests we get from our users just because we don't write as many lines of code anymore. So let me now get into the AI piece and how we automated our invoice processing approval. So let me walk you through in a very high level how does how does the workflow works. So basically, when a vendor does a repair for us, whether it's in Canada or in US or Mexico, at the end of the day or the end of the week, they send us an email with an invoice or a PDF document that basically has the details of the invoice number, the dates, what they've done, subtotals, taxes, so on and so forth. Typically, depending on the case, we may need to rebuild this to a customer, depending on the contract they have with us, or we may pay that ourselves. So first step of the workflow is receiving that invoice from the vendor, and that 99% of the cases it was sent into our AP invoice mailbox. So once that is done, the AP team, you know, before automating, they would get the email, download the invoice, the PDF, and then would assign a type. It could be a service that we've done, could be a inventory invoice, let's say, that we receive, we need to pay our supplier, or it could be a miscellaneous invoice. So that they would assign a type. That's part of the process. And then the next step, the team would validate the dollar value against the PO. So the purchase order is typically an approval for someone to do the work, and it means that we're going to pay for what was previously agreed. You know, when we're dealing with 3,000 to 4,000 invoices, you need to make sure that you do the validation because mistakes happen and you may end up paying way more than you thought you would. So that's a critical piece of the process. Then, assuming all looks good, there is data entry. So data entry in a most simplest form, they would enter the invoice number, the date, the total, and the taxes. Of course, the invoice number is quite important for a number of reasons, including the fact that you don't pay twice the same vendor. So invoice number is quite important. So once that happens, the data is entered, all looks good. Now it goes to the different departments for the department approval. Let's say IT, I would get my own invoices to approve. You know, the service manager would have their own invoice to approve, and so on and so forth. This is key. And before was a bunch of papers moving from desk to desk to desk until people approve. When the vendor was calling us, we were not sure exactly where the status were and being able to automate and track all that in the system was a great advantage as well. So once approved, everything looks good. We basically rebill the customer if applicable. At the same time, we issue the payment to the vendor. And then finally, for the accounting folks, we do all the transactions are posted, journalized. So high level, this is what we set out to work on and optimize. What we're looking to improve in the main goals were to address high volume of data entry. As you can imagine, 3,000 to 4,000 invoices a month. If you assume 22 days as a business days within a month, a team of 4 AP data entry, it will be 45 invoices per day they would have to each that they will have to type in and validate. That's quite a lot. We really want to maintain and improve accuracy. Make sure it's scalable. We're getting to a point that we're getting more work, but then we have more paperwork, and that would mean that we need to hire more people. So it was not scalable, and we really were looking for something that would be more scalable. We wanted to have a tight integration with the service and operation modules, including the call center, so that we can back check those PO dollar values, etc., making sure we're billed the correct amount. We really want a faster rebill, keep our customers happy. Some of our customers, they don't pay us if we bill, if the invoice is older than 30 days. So be able to, recover those financial figures are quite important, of course. So that was one of the goals as well. And then the bonus point would be to be able to have the document available within 360, Trailcon 360. What that means will be that you can go through the system, through the ERP system, go to the attachment section, and you'll see that PDF, the original that came from the vendor. You'll see that shortly. So let me get now into the technicality or start before I actually present the demo that we have. So this is a screenshot from OCI. Document understanding. So let's talk about the AI services from OCI. So there are different types of AI services that is available through OCI. The one that we're leveraging is called the document understanding. Document understanding is broken down into several different sub functions. The one that we are using is called key value extraction. So basically, the system goes, acts as you can see here, reads the document and try to extract the different types of data that it finds. In this case, we're looking at the vendor address, recipient, the vendor name, the invoice ID, vendor address, due date, so on and so forth. And we played so with the folks at Insum, we play a little bit with the different types of models that you can have to do the type of work. You can leverage a pre-trained model. That's basically what Oracle has trained the model and on all different types of documents. And then the engine tries to find what's the best type of document for that uploaded document that is being presented. In this case here, you can see on the top right, the system or OCI detected that was an invoice, but this could be a driver's license, this could be a safety certificate, this could be a passport, this could be a package slip, so on and so forth. Because we do have about 3,000 to 4,000 different vendors, we potentially have 3,000 to 4,000 different types of invoices or layout of invoices. Many invoices, as you can imagine, they would have several pages, so it's quite complex to train ourselves these modules, and so that's the reason why we could opt between custom trained models or pre-trained models. We end up, after a few weeks back and forth with them, we decided to go on the pre-trained just because it does what we need to do. When we get new vendors, we don't need to retrain or train again the model, that new type of invoice. And it actually works really well. Once the data is analyzed, and takes about 15 to 20 seconds, that's our experience at least. The AI service will return a JSON. It's a quite large JSON. This 30,000 lines because it does give you the detailed information of the different types of data found in the document, whether it's the exact location of that data point into the document. So this is the X and Y coordinates for that. Will give you a listing of all the words found on the document. Will give you a list of all the key value components found on that document. So that's the JSON. That's the document that we use to leverage to update our tables with the data found in the PDF. As I was saying, another service that Oracle provides is document classification. So this is the document classification goes hand in hand with the key value extraction. So we use both of them. In this case, what I'm highlighting here on the left is the classification that was found as an invoice. But as you can see on the right, all these different types of documents Oracle is capable to understand and extract data from. This is another example. So in Ontario, where our head office is, we have what I was saying, a safety certificate. So these vehicles, they need to have a safety certificate at least once a year, and that's the document that detects. That's the document that records that safety inspection was done within that year. And as you can see, there's a bunch of data there. Most of it handwritten by the technician. And we're still playing around with handwritten, recognition of fields. The safety certificate number was very clearly identified and extracted. All the other pieces are not so much. So this is a little bit of a try and error that we had to go through to understand what would be the best documents that we do that would be suitable for this project. Again, this is not invoicing. This is a safety certificate. This is just another example of what OCI has that can be leveraged if you do have the right documents to be used. This is another one for another province, Quebec. Again, it did not work at all. Again, because it's very pale the way how it's written. So you do need to analyze first the document. Don't just think that any document would work. It has to, there's some criteria that has to be in place in order for that to work, of course. Resolution, I guess, is one of them as well. But as you can see, everything that is not handwritten, we're able to detect. The handwritten piece is a little bit more challenging. So now I'm ready to a little bit show the demo of how we process these invoices. Salim, is there any question or something, or can I continue with the demo?
There is actually one question. What do you use to generate PDF prints? So I would assume you don't generate them. You get them from your vendors, right? So it's their template. It's not yours.
That's correct. Yes, it's their templates, not ours. We do generate PDFs, our own invoices that we send out. We use AOP for that. The cloud office print solution, the cloud version works really well. But for this project, we are really reading from our vendors' PDF layouts.
Great. That even makes it more challenging. Now I think everybody's excited to see the demo. So go ahead, please.
Okay. Thanks. So this is our, so you can see this, right? Okay, so this is our login page. Let me just quickly talk about this single sign-on. That's one of the pieces I love the most. The integration I did talk earlier. So easy to log in. We did do a little bit of a picture of our head office in near Toronto as a login page. So before getting to the AI, let me talk a little bit about a few top or items that I spoke during the presentation that I find quite useful and is quite productive for the folk use this on a daily basis. So the first one will be global. At the top here, people can search for anything they want. We have about 80% of tables mapped on this function, and it's very simple. Here, people can enter, let's say, a work order. That's how our work order They can just simply enter work order. The system will actually go through our full database and bring the results. So as I click here, I'm not going to click because that's going to take me to another screen, but it's a hyperlink, gives me a high-level view of what the work order is, and then I can go in and click to see the details. I can also be a little bit more specific, and I want to say, okay, I want to prefix this with a customer, so then it's only going to search on the customer side, right? So it's quite fast, especially when you enter the prefix indicating exact data you're looking for. So I find that this way our users don't need to be very familiar with all the menus. We do have about 600 pages, as I said earlier, so it's quite challenging to be able to find all this, especially if you're not in the system day in, day out. So here you can look by asset or a vehicle, customer, invoice, a part, a PO, code, etc. So quite easy for people to find what they're looking for. We also have favorites, so implemented favorites, so people can functions they use on a daily basis, easily accessible right from the top of the menu. They can also search for something right here on the search, so that's going to bring me anything that has that string in it. And then of course they can actually go to the menu and go, but again, it's a lot of pages. The most efficient and what we see our users using the most is going through the search or the favorites. On our homepage, this is my dev environment. So typically, if it was in production, I will see the most recent customers added, the assets being added. All that is key information that people need to see on a daily basis as they log in. And that's how we find that's quite useful for people to have this right on the homepage. So I'm gonna go and show the process of downloading emails from our AP inbox. With that, let me minimize. So this is each bar here that you see is a day, and each color that you see here is a vendor that has provided us services for the last 30 days. I think that's what we show here. So what this does is, so each color, it's a vendor, and the total that you see here today is 33. It means that we have received 33 emails from into the AP inbox, AP invoices inbox or mailbox, with invoices to be processed that we need to download, review, assess, pay, and review the customer. We have an automation that runs this job every 5 minutes. Integrates into Microsoft 365 through Microsoft Graph, downloads the email from the mailbox, and then downloads and tracks and records into our tables. We also can call that automation on demand by clicking the button here. That does take a 5-10 seconds, so I'm not going to press. But if by any chance I wanted to have that run right now on demand, it's just a matter of pressing the button. It does call the same automation, so no extra code needed for that. So here, this gives you at a glance view of the volume of emails. Again, one email may have dozens of invoices, so this is not exactly the number of invoices, this is the number of emails. However, this does give them a idea of the volume that has come, that needs to be processed. Down below is an interactive report that tells me where it came from, all the different subjects and the details of the email and whether or not it's been processed. So the process means it has been sent into Oracle AI document understanding to get to open and really collect all the data from within the invoice. So looking into one specific here, let me do a search on this one here. So clicking on the let me do this again slowly. So clicking on the edit or on the view details button on the left would open a model window that shows me the body of the email that came in, subject, from, etc., when was received, and then the attachments. So in this case here, this is the invoice that was downloaded. So no longer the need having AP folks going into the Outlook to see, and we're talking about 5, 6, 7 different people into Outlook to download the invoices. It's automatically downloaded by the system. So that's one example. There's a few other ones that I will show you. In this case, we have 2 invoices. And we implement in a way that they can see on this document embedded right into the same screen that we have here. We can download that a PDF, or we can see it in a new tab. Basically, all the same functionality. So what you're seeing here is actually the document coming from downloaded from Microsoft 365 and then uploaded to object storage in OCI. So these documents that you see here are not stored within our servers. They are stored within Oracle Object Storage. Of course, that helps us quite a lot because I started to store all this data, and then all of a sudden you see that have hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes of data that now you need to back up, you need to DR, you need to test, it's extremely gets complex rather quickly. So being able to leverage object storage to track those or to store those, it made my life quite easier. So we are in the process of moving all our other pictures and documents into object storage as well. So here's step 1, downloading the email and uploading into object storage. Now, step 2 is actually happens on the back end. So you're not going to see that JSON generation because it does happen on the back end. But the next screen is actually going to show you the results of the document understanding analysis done. Search for. So here is what we call review and control. So what the system does is it will populate our tables with the results from document understanding. So here's the vendor. Here's the total already extracted using document understanding. Conformity success, it means that was fully extracted and everything matches. So for instance, we ensure that the total, subtotal plus taxes do match the total that's on invoice. We check against the from email from the vendor, making sure that's a valid vendor, etc. So we do not find any exception. That's why the system pre-flags this as the conformity success. So let me show you how this looks. And this is really where you can see the magic. Because what you see here is the invoice again coming from object storage. But here, all these data points that you see here, they have been automatically populated by leveraging document understanding. So nobody has typed in the subtotal, the taxes, the total, the vendor, everything has been pre-populated automatically. So just imagine we're talking about 3,000 to 4,000 invoices. The gain that you get because you don't need someone to download the PDF. You don't need someone to open the PDF and type in all this and hope they were typing correctly. So on and so forth. So all done automatically through the system. Now here, typically, what the operator would do is they would fill in some information that was not populated. So in this case, there's no PO. So if there is a PO number, they would enter that information. They would enter a service call. A service call is really the call from the call center that initiated that job. If there is one, then we would pre-populate. But in this case, it is not a service invoice, so that's why it is not populated. And then we also do some, so the accountants out there, there is a general ledger accounts that gets pre-populated as well. So we try our best to find what's the general ledger associated to that transaction and pre-populate that as well. There are some exceptions that then the operator needs to look and fix, but 80% of it, it's done as it should. And then what they need to do is they need to select here, okay, who's going to approve this? Typically, a vendor may have already a predefined approver. In this case, there isn't. So I'm just going to put myself here as the approver. They check approval pending, and what they do is save and next. So they go to the next invoice. Right? Same thing. Everything has been populated nicely here. They basically enter the approval pending, and then save and next. So that's how they basically work through their queue, ensuring that all this have been processed. So they no longer are switching between Outlook and Windows, and it's everything within the same platform. And that's where we get the value, because this platform, Trailcon 360, does have all the backend data that supports all these invoices, and be able to detect all this and present to the user all in one screen, makes everyone's life much easier and make our own process more efficient as well. And as
I
you can
have actually
tell,
an interesting question, Giovanni, if you don't mind. How
yeah,
do
go
you
for it.
handle errors? Like if there is an error reading that invoice, or parsing the
Yeah,
invoice, how
yeah,
that
that's a
the
great
system
question.
will handle.
That's a great question. Let me show you that on the next invoice. But that's a great question, because of course there are errors that happen. So this one, you can see that there is some background on this invoice, but still we're able to detect the totals, taxes, right, and the total. So this is a huge gain for us. We do have at the bottom here reserved. So because we have 4 or 5 different people going through this queue, so we want to make sure that we don't have multiple people on the same invoice. So we typically reserve that on the database, so that the next person that's going through the queue will skip this one and go to the next one. Yeah, so I just skip, right, and then goes through. So let me show you the errors. How do we handle errors? So I'm going to remove my filter success. So this is, this is my dev environment. So in this case here, taxes do not match. So then someone needs to look into and see what happened. Let me open this one and see. So here's red because the subtotal, and you will find some invoices are really, really complex, as you can see this one here. So it's not going to be 100% all the time, but when we do have, so then the operator will have to fix this. The red means that the subtotal plus taxes do not match the total, which right now is blank. That's why it's red. But anytime they don't match, the total is red. And then they would fix it and go to the next one. So typically what we do is we flag as conformity error. And then we see already invoice already exists from this vendor. So maybe this vendor sent the same invoice twice. You see this invoice already exists in the system. So this is how we were able to upfront already detect those and make sure that we don't pay something that should not be paid. So the queue right now is 3,876 invoices. Again, this is development environment. Typically, they have 4 or 5 people look at this in the real time every day. But that's how. And then if there's something that it's garbage, maybe it's not even an invoice, something else, well, they can always delete. Delete would deactivate or no longer show. It's a soft delete, would still be on the database for auditing purposes. And then the next step would be the approval, right? So you did see that I put my name there and click approval pending. So then what happens is we have an automation that runs overnight and sends an email to all these approvers saying, hey, you have all these 3, 4, 5 invoices that you need approval. We send a right on their email, they click it, and they to this screen we call approvals. So I'm logged in. So these are some of the invoices that I kind of did that for myself. But if it was someone else, that's how they would see their name appear, and then they would basically go in. So now I'm talking about the business person, right? Whoever is the manager of the department that requested the services, they would come in. It's a little bit of animation that they approved. So the status now is no longer approval pending. The status now is approved. So now that is gone from my queue for the managers, the department managers queue, so that now it's ready for the invoice to be rebill the customer and issue the payment to the vendor. So, this is in a high level. That's how we did this. We did initially, when we did this project, of course, was something that we're just trying, and a lot of R&D that was as part of the process. So we thought that maybe would make sense for the users to download the invoice from Outlook and then upload into 360 through and then when they upload into 360, would send to Oracle OCI document understanding services, but we found that that was quite time consuming as well. So we took the next step, which was automatically downloading those PDFs, uploading to OCI, at the same time running the AI services to read these invoices. Again, you need an AI because you have 4,000 or 5,000 different types of invoices, and it's not possible for you to keep up with all these different layouts and things that happen, at least in our case, as these invoices coming in.
It's an amazing system, and I'm sure you have plenty of navigations. So would you like to show us something else, or can we go to the Q&A?
Yeah, let me show a little bit. Another piece that I love is our telematics module. I did talk about integration with Latin Long of our assets. So this is our telematics. So we do leverage this vendor for downloading data for our units. The cool piece of it's the live map. And again, what I love again is because we built these screens so quickly because they are very data driven. One thing I have not talked about is you will see that we're did a little bit of changing colors here using universal theme, but we absolutely don't do any other CSS changes. We leverage what Apex provide us. We find it's beautiful. We find it's fast. We find it runs well on different types of devices, whether it's a big monitor, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a smartphone. So you will see that other than this dark blue that we customize very easily through the built-in options, everything else is core Apex. So this is a little bit of our map that we leverage to show our assets across at least the ones that are being mapped, mostly right now in Canada. So as you mouse over them, you get data as a distance, battery. So these devices are battery-based, temperature at the location. So this is Celsius. Right now it's 21 degrees. The location Celsius, humidity, pressure, etc. And then we did a little bit of a Google Maps quick. It's an easy one, quick. We call this URL, which users can see that same asset right on Google Maps as well. We do have one that I would like to show. Maybe we track breadcrumbs as well. There's a huge amount of data that we download because these devices are reporting every 5 minutes. Let me see here if I can get that unit number so that I can show you. So we currently have about 1,200, over 1,200 assets being tracked. So as I click here on this timeline map icon, then I will see a breadcrumb of that asset. Go back. So here I'm just looking at today's date. Let me go back early August. Search. So the cool thing about it, you see, we can track. So this truck looks like it's coming from Montreal or somewhere up north, Montreal all the way to Toronto and down south, and then somewhere in the US looks like. So then that all that is those data points are tracked, just like you saw before, but now just for this type of asset. Again, building this screen was rather easy. The map component works really, really well. There are hundreds, if not hundreds of points being plotted on the map, and you can see how fast it is. So we really like this, and that helps a lot our managers to understand if there was a breakdown, where it happened, go back in time, etc. So works really well. So that's another one that it's near and dear to my heart, the telematics module. Okay, I hope I did not talk too much.
No, it was very interesting. Actually, I got so many questions. I don't think we can answer all of them. So let's go quickly through some of these questions. One question is for invoice component, what Apex features are you using? Are you using the approval component, for example, or did you build your own flows for Apex, an external workflow engine?
Yeah, so we did consider Apex approval, the component, but the workflow component, but we end up building our own. We were really focusing on the AI component, and I think our workflow is rather simple. We end up then leveraging, as you saw, there's a bunch of interactive report screens, so it was not that complex. That piece of it, we really want to focus the work into the AI piece, and we use our own screens to build that workflow.
Great. Another question, have you looked at Oracle IDR, Intelligent Document Recognition, for your need? I'm not sure what that is, to be honest.
No, so that's a great thing about having a partner. So and that's the value of having a partner. So we work closely with them to understanding what would be the best technology provided our needs. And they after some assessment, they came back and say it used to be called, I think, Oracle Vision. I think now, if please don't quote me, I may be wrong, but I think now it's called Document Understanding, which is an advanced version of what was before. But then we did go with Oracle Document Understanding, because that you can easily do a test. We don't need to write any code, actually. You can just go to log into Oracle CI, go to on the menu AI services, go into Document Understanding. You can upload your own invoices there, or any document that you may have there, and you can see the JSON right away, and you can see how accurate it is. And for us, was quite accurate, so we went with it.
Yeah, a lot of interest on how you parse that inbox. So some people are asking, what did you use to actually read the
Yeah.
Microsoft inbox? So
Yeah, and the cool thing about this is you can do that with 2F MFA as well, because it's a little bit, so that's a session on its own, but in a high level, you need to create on your Azure environment. You need to register your application so that you get an ID, a secret, I think they call a secret string. You use that secret string to connect into MS Graph. And it's a bunch of RESTful calls, but then you have to understand what's the ID of your mailbox. Is a long number, and again, we can have a session only on that. But then once you get the ID, then you need to say, okay, what's the directory within the mailbox that I need to download? You have a sent, you have an inbox, you have your own directories there. And then once you do that, then you basically get a REST JSON with all the emails and the PDFs and the attachments. And then it's a matter of you filtering out what you don't need, so that you only download what you need. In our case, was anything that has a PDF document, an attachment that's a PDF document. So that's why we download everything.
great. Somebody's asking, do you have any validation on the vendor's email address before the invoice is imported into your system? Or you don't validate it?
So as part of the vendor setup in our system, they need to, there's a bunch of things, where you pay, address, phone, etc. And as part of that as well is the email where the invoice comes from. Oftentimes you may have invoices coming from different for the same vendor, but from different addresses. So we had to do a little bit of rework of our own vendors to make sure they do send us from a clean, one consolidated place so that we could understand. And then if we cannot, because we cannot enforce our and their processes. So what we do is we just have as you saw, a conformity error. Then an operator would just select the vendor and then continue the flow.
Okay. Another question, how do you measure the accuracy of the collected data? I'm not sure the question is targeted towards the data itself or the process of making sure that it has, accurate information.
So this is a fairly new project for us. We started engaging into this project about 4 months ago. So we are in the process of getting numbers from efficiency and accuracy. I can tell you from seeing some of the results that we got so far, people have been quite happy with what they've seen, and the fact that we can validate against data within our ERP system to add intelligence to some of these numbers helped us quite a lot in finding mistakes, minimize issues when billing out to customers, etc. But right now, like I said, we did all this about 3-4 months. There is some improvements that we're being asked to implement, but numbers, so the users are quite happy.
Great. So only a couple of questions maybe, and then we can close the session. I think you answered this. Do you use Oracle BI Publisher? You're not. You're using
No.
Apex Office Print, right?
Yeah, Apex Office Print, yes.
Now, the last question, this is pretty funny. So is the system open for sale? I don't know if I'm understanding that correctly or not.
No, this is not open for sale. We love what we do, and that's what makes us different from our competitors out there. But yeah, no.
I don't think we can stop. There are so many questions keep coming, but I think we had enough. So it was a great session, Giovanni. I personally enjoyed every single bit of it, and the demo was amazing. Stay tuned for future sessions and Business Innovations webcast series. I would like to thank you all for being here tonight or today, or depending where you are. Thank you again, and see you soon, guys.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You too.